Right, let's see what the test has in store for us. Seeing as how this is the single most basic test there is, I'm going to assume this is essentially something again, a trainer's license. Yeesh! If a driver's license had more specific questions like this, well, yeah, the drivers would still forget the rules of the road and do their own thing. Ugh. Oh, that rule only means something in Stadium. It doesn't mean anything anywhere else in Pokemon. Doubt we're ever gonna have a Steelix on our team regardless of which game we play through, mostly because I've never felt like putting an Onix on my active team. Well, slows down or just doesn't learn them at all naturally, so you need TMs. It depends on the Pokemon, and that sort of thing might have changed from generation to generation. It's just harder for me to know for sure since there aren't too many in-game moments in later games where they point out the various changes and shifts. It doesn't help that quite a lot hasn't changed from Generation 1 all the way to Generation 9. Hell, I'm pretty tempted to go back and forth between Pokemon and Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy did quite a few changes from one installment to the next. But then I essentially gave up on Final Fantasy after 13, whereas I still keep looking at Pokemon news with hunger to a degree. Anyway, looks like we got through that test with little to no trouble. We'll spend the rest of the clip going through at least part of the versus part of the bracket. This is going to be fairly easy since it's the first level and approximately as tough as we're likely to see from actual trainers on the road once we get Crystal rolling. Though, maybe I'm underestimating how tough things are going to be here? Ah, so if we win the wrong way, we don't get a passing grade. Seems a bit annoying, but I suppose that's understandable in any kind of combat-related school. Oh, I know those weaknesses pretty well. Flying, fire, and bug. Though I'm not too sure if the bug is going to have all that much impact against the Parasect this kid has. Okay, so each Pokemon only has one available move. I'm sure they actually do know more, but they will only respond to students saying the one thing. Certainly an interesting way to handle this sort of thing, that's for sure. And great. Now, I really wish there was a game that did a lot more with the school setting in Pokemon. A combination of what we've been seeing here in Earl's Academy and what I remember from a Season 1 bit where Ash clashed against some students in a Pokemon school really makes it feel like it could be a damn good setting if the writers knew what they were doing. And while Scarlet and Violet had some moments of brilliance, those were few and far between. What struck me with that generation of Pokemon was the sheer amount of missed potential, just like with Sword and Shield. I don't really feel that much of a sense of missed potential with the first three generations, partly because they were feeling things out and trying to figure out what they could and couldn't do in something that was still relatively new at the time. Sure, I'm always going to wish that Pokemon had better storytelling, but to be fair, there are a lot of role players out there with damn great storytelling that don't draw me in the same way that Pokemon can. There are just a multitude of role player games I'd like to get to work on in the future, many of them with some interesting worlds and great characters to work with. But Pokemon has a certain whimsy to it, where you just explore the region you're in and build your team from scratch. Hell, one of the reasons when I was younger I dropped away from Pokemon after Generation 3 was because Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald felt like just the perfect blend of childish adventure story and saved the region from a local threat. Black and White and Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum didn't really push me away, per se, but they weren't really drawing me in the same way as the first three generations, compared to various other role players. I'm pretty sure the only way I'm gonna play through those games and the ones later in the franchise is due to motivation of trying to LP them. For anyone who was a fan of those generations after 3, I'm not calling them bad outside of 8 and 9. They just didn't feel like they scratched the itch the same way the previous 3 had. And considering how long a playthrough of Pokemon Red or Gold or Ruby can be, that itch in my mind felt pretty satisfied, even with just bouncing between the first 3 generations. Though I do have to admit, I'm looking forward to finally seeing what everyone is praising so much in the Soul Silver remake when I'm done with this playthrough of the second generation. I'm probably gonna do a Final Fantasy game between when I finish my Pokemon Crystal and Stadium 2 run and when I get started with the Generation 2 remake for the Nintendo DS. Again, the Pokemon games tend to be pretty long, even if they have stayed pretty simplistic for the most part. It's easy to imagine I'm gonna feel pretty damn tired of Pokemon for a while once I'm done with this LP. I certainly felt that way after completing the first Pokemon generation after all. Though that was probably because when I did that LP, I recorded both Red and Blue at the same time, then recorded Pokemon Stadium bits, and then decided to go with the Red playthrough as the main one for the footage I was commenting on. Maybe not the best Pokemon Let's Play ever, but I still enjoyed working on it like that, even if it took a lot more work than it probably strictly needed to. And I'm sure I'll enjoy this somewhat similar Let's Play of the second generation.
And there goes the battle!
Bit of an odd way to teach a lesson about type advantages, where even if you pick the right Pokemon, you're gonna take a casualty. But I suppose grass types need more loves, and sometimes it feels like the fire types are treated like the mascot of a given generation. Anyway, time to start beating down on the fire types, and that means water, rock, ice, and ground. Okay, that nerd slime felt a bit more creepy than it was probably intended to be. Huh. Why is it that none of the choices we got for this one actually have the typing we're going to be throwing at our opponent? I mean, sure, the normal type's main advantage is that it has the widest ability to use other types' moves. And if it wasn't for the 4-move limit, they would be brokenly capable to a point I'm sure many players would become normal type specialists or something. But as Earl said in one of the lectures, if you want a move to hit as hard as it possibly can, then you want the ground type attack to be thrown by a ground type Pokemon. So, what's going on here? Okay. Again, I'm a bit iffy on what the school is doing with the whole type advantages thing, since we're going to be taking casualties despite making all the right moves. I'm also a bit iffy on the fact that they're giving absolute rookie trainers level 50 Pokemon. I mean, sure, giving the trainers some Pokemon that have some life experience of their own means it's less likely for some bratty rookie to absolutely traumatize a Pokemon. But level 50 is around the cutoff point between beating all 8 gym badges and facing down the Elite Four in a given region.
There's the shot! Uh-oh, was that Pokemon the wrong choice? Oh no, it fainted just like that!
I was kind of expecting one-hit KOs for all the battles so far. Things are still going our way, but it's not to the absolutely sweeping victory I was expecting. Is this the school's way of saying that even with a type advantage you shouldn't get too cocky? Or am I overthinking things here?
A sharp attack! It's super effective!
Super effective, but it didn't finish the job. And she just needs one hit to bring us down in return.
Oh, it has no strength left.
Take a bow. You did well enough, Stantler.
We're eagerly awaiting appearance of the next Pokemon. Oh, it's Forest!
Oh, that little guy is just way too cute looking to do a threatening glance at the start of a fight.
Pokemon is 2-1.
I'm not even gonna bother asking where all that water came from in this environment. I'm just gonna question how the school keeps repairing all the water damage, fire damage, localized earthquakes, and several other ways of wrecking the furniture, floor, walls, and ceiling that are being thrown around right now. Seriously, these moves all feel way too effective considering we're doing them in a small indoors environment like a bloody classroom. I don't think it's possible to gain perfect victories around here, Professor. And I'm getting the distinct feeling that's part of the point. Well, that's certainly a good variety of types. Unfortunately for you, Steel, Rock, and Dark types share a very specific weakness: fighting. And I'm not too sure what my other two choices should be, though, since we've only got one fighting type here, and I don't think all three of his types are covered by more than one type. Professor Earl, can I get a type chart as I try to make these decisions here? This is feeling a little more complicated than I would have expected, since I don't have the massive spiderweb of strengths and weaknesses memorized here. And great. Now I'm imagining a type chart on the wall similar to the periodic table I saw in plenty of chemistry labs in school. Credit where it's due. The practical exams are starting to turn up the pressure on us. Certainly more pressure than the multiple choice test, that's for sure. Bloody hell, feels like the other two choices are just me hoping we get lucky with the Hitmonlee kicking copious amounts of ass. And considering how the previous two battles went, that doesn't feel especially great to me.
There it goes!
Part of me wants to nitpick that the jump kick there didn't actually involve a jump. The other remembers that there were moments in the Switch games where you'd be lucky to see a kick at all, much less a jumping one. Good God! Definitely hard to feel respect for the visual guys working on the newer Pokemon games, when an old N64 spin-off title seems to have better fight animation than a game that's 4 generations more advanced. For the N64 game, things were limited by technical ability on the machine the game is playing on, the amount of memory you had on the cartridge, and the amount of time available to work on hundreds of creatures with hundreds of possible moves. For the Switch games, it feels like a combination of a lack of imagination from the game designers and the company in charge having different priorities of what they should sink their time into. Anyway, seems either I misremembered fighting being super effective against Steel, or that guy's bug typing cancelled out the weakness. And to make matters worse, Hitmonlee managed to knock himself out. Not only is that undignified, I can't even help wondering how the hell he managed to kick himself unconscious.
Oh, it's Magmar!
Well, at least fire should do a number on Bug and Steel.
There! Fire Bug! That had to hurt.
And it certainly did do a number.
No strength left.
He means the Bug Steel just got melted down there, buddy. I'm not sure I still have an answer for the Dark type since Hitmonlee is down, though.
Pokemon. The number of remaining Pokemon is 2-1. What will do? A light pack.
I've got the distinct feeling the counterattack is gonna hurt even more.
What's this? That did little
Okay, Bit thankful I was wrong there. I guess we're gonna be trading neutral attacks until someone drops. Not a great way to fight, but hey, it's not like we have any other options right now. Again, the Pokemon we've been given by the school only have one move each, and unfortunately, Fire Punch doesn't count as a fighting move despite having Punch in the title. Moves can only have one typing, and Fire takes precedence over fighting for Fire Punch. Probably a good thing since, well, it's one thing for Pokemon to have two types for offensive and defensive purposes. But if moves also have multiple types, I'm sure that would be game-breaking in a very convoluted and bad way.
What will do? A light tap. Fake attack.
You did a good job there, Magmar. Take a bow.
Oh, knockout. Each team has only one Pokemon left for battle.
And the one Pokemon the kid has is in such bad shape that we just need one more move. Hell, we could get away with a completely ineffective move here.
What's this? That did
Oh,
little
this is the end, sir.
There, Giga Drain. Yes, it's a hit.
That feels like enough for this clip. Sure, there are more battles to go through in the practical side of the school at the moment, but the next bit of raw footage and this one aren't going to fit under half an hour combined unless I do some fast forwarding. And we're going to have plenty of fast forwarding to go through in the crystal side of things, since there's going to be a good amount of grinding and random encounters. This isn't anywhere near as obnoxious to have to see in real time. It's just proven to be more drawn out than I was expecting, considering this is the most basic of the three practical portions of Earl's Academy.